interesting side project for you. When I went to put the transfer case skid plate back up, 3 of the 6 Nutserts stripped out. So I have started to remove them. I ordered some in from a place called Black Magic Brakes. It was the only place I really found them. But they came in with pretty good instructions. I'll give you a little bit of a rundown on it because it's an interesting process. And if you ever strip these out, it's not as hard as it would seem. Okay, so I started out by replacing this first Nutsert here. You see that little bronze zinc thing here. That basically, it's a threaded insert. You can push right up in there and then you squeeze it down. So I will kind of show you a little bit of how I'm doing it. Over here you can see there's one here that's coated in my POR 15 right now, but I've got to get that out. So they say you can drill them out. Biggest drill bit I've got is 1/2 inch, so I was not able to drill it out. So with this other one, I took a grinder to it and then just tapped the remainder up through. So I ground off the head basically and then just tapped the remainder up through. So I'll start by grinding off that little nub there. Sometimes you've got to get creative. Now I cut the head of the Nutsert off, and to describe a little better what a Nutsert is, you see it's got the threads there. This is that outer ring that I cut off, and when you cinch it down with a custom tool, I will show you, man, it's intense. Actually, no, it's pretty simple. But when you cinch it down, it actually expands a little bit and basically pinches into the hole that it's in. So it goes. Well, I'm not going to hammer it in there until I'm ready because I still need to get it on the tool. But once I cut the head off, I couldn't get the insert out because it was too cinched in there. And the other one, I was able to just use a hammer and a socket and mash it out. But this one didn't work so well. So I stuck a nut up against the bottom of that insert, cranked on it with a C-clamp. Sometimes just a little bit of creativity will get you there. Now, the custom tool I was telling you about is difficult. For 03 to 06, this is a 12 millimeter bolt. 2 washers coated, the washers, not the nut, but the washers need to be coated in anti-seize so they slip better. And the nut, you'll notice, is a 9/16. It's much too big for this bolt, and that way it'll spin loose. So what I'll do is I will thread these together. I'm going to thread it right down onto that nut. And this nut isn't just a regular nut. You notice I cut a bunch of little serrations into the nut. That'll help it grip this and keep this from spinning. And you'll see why here in just a second. So I'm going to slide it up into the frame, and it's tight enough that it'll kind of hold in place, but not a whole lot. The first one actually slid right out. I'm going to stick a wrench. Now I don't have an open end wrench big enough for this 9/16 nut, but I've got a crescent wrench and I've got her tight, and I have a torque wrench. And the reason for the torque wrench is to make sure I'm not over cranking on this thing. And as I am doing this, I'm holding the nut in place, which is holding the Nutsert from spinning. And so as I crank down on this, it's actually pulling those threads down, and it's all cinching up nice and tight. The reason for the torque wrench is anything above 50 pounds, 50 foot-pounds that is, and you're likely to strip out the threads of the new Nutsert and have to start all over again. I don't want to mess with that because I don't want to wait for ordering another one, especially the way the mail has been working for us lately. I'll just say it hasn't been. But there's my 50 pounds. My nut is set. Flip my torque wrench around just because I don't have another torque wrench handy quick. Loosen that up just a little bit. Take my crescent off. The whole thing spins out. And now I can get this side back up because I only had those two were bad. This one was still good. I've got one on the other side I need to replace. But after that, my transfer case skid plate will be good as new. So that's that. Well, it's been a couple days. I think if I remember correctly, dinner was ready. And if you know me, you know that food does not wait. But I got this side back up. I've got these bolts still loose, so there's a little bit of play so that the other side will drop. And I do have the other side dropped. Now, I'm about to... Well, let me show you. I am about to... that one's good. That one's good. About to grind off that one and throw the new one in there. And once I do that, I can get this thing back up. There are 4 bolts. You can kind of see the 4 holes there where the transfer case mounting bracket, let's see here, transfer case mounting bracket actually mounts into it to hold everything in place nice and sturdy. And so once I get that nutsert replaced, I get this side cranked back up and bolted in, get everything tightened down and torqued to spec. Then I can throw those nuts back on and I'll be done with this and I'll get back to work on the body. Okay, another new day. It was getting late last night. I did get that ground off. I did not even bother trying to press this out because, well, we were done for the night. Okay, I've just got a little nut that is left over from tearing everything apart. It does have a washer built in. The washer is bigger than the nutsert, so I'm actually doing that side down toward the C-clamp, and I'll use the nut side on the top. Once it gets a little bit of movement, that's pretty much all it needs. So I'll start pressing this out here, and we'll see what we got. Just got to get it lined up properly. The sun is not helping this morning. Okay, I think it actually slid off rather than clamping down. So I'll try this again. I'll get this popped out and I'll be back with you. Okay, I should have kept the camera going because I put it back on there and the very first turn on the C-clamp and it just pressed right out super easy. I have tapped in this new one with a dead blow hammer just to get it in there easier. And I am ready to crank this one down. So I did not reapply the anti-seize to the washers because, well, if you've ever worked with anti-seize, you know that that stuff, once it's on something, it doesn't go away. It's persistent, and that's its job. So it does it well. But let's get this cranked down. I've got it set to about 45 right now. That way I didn't actually lock the torque wrench into place. which would have been useful, but at 45 it can go up or it can go down and I'll still be within the range I need to be. The most difficult part of this is just making sure, being able to crank on it while making sure that it stays seated nice and flat to the frame. If you had a second set of hands here to just hold the crescent wrench, that'd make it much easier. But like I said, it's not too bad to do it yourself. And there we're at torque, so I will back this guy out. Back this guy out. And we'll get to work putting this back together. On the other side, I ended up using my DeWalt bar clamps here. And basically, they do all the work for me. Just clamp, and it pulls it up. I did try just lifting, because that's how I did it the first time. When I found out they were stripped, I just muscled it up, and I don't know, maybe that's how I stripped it. Maybe I didn't have it up far enough and tried screwing them in. So I figured it'd be easier and safer bet if I just clamped it up into place and then threw the bolts in. So let's try that. First things first, I've got to get that transfer case mount positioned to where those bolts will come through. Problem being, I can't really see it while lifting, so I don't know. There we go. Okay, one side on, the bolts are still through, so I can kind of work at my leisure here. I'm actually going to set these at a bit of an angle like this to kind of suck the skid plate in. And because it's a little, just a hair wider than the frame, so it actually cinches together and holds everything nicely in place. Well, the fun part here is going to be, this is actually got to go quite a bit more that way, which is actually bolted on that side. This one's pretty close. Maybe I just need to give it a little twist. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm going to start with this one because this one, does not have the slotted hole in the skid plate. That one's an actual just a round hole, just barely big enough for the nut. So you kind of have to get it positioned perfectly and then work the others from there. And I don't want to strip it out, so I do want to make sure it's as perfect as possible. Let's skip past this part. What do you say? So I guess actually now would be a great time to mention where I got these Nutserts while we're waiting. I got them from Mr. Blaine at Black Magic Brakes. He's got brake kits, oversized brake kits, heavy duty brake kits for Jeeps and a few other things, I think. But he also has these Nutserts that are made specifically for the Jeep frames, the Jeep skid plates. And if the brakes are anywhere as useful and decently priced as these Nutserts were, I may have to try a set of those in the future. As far as these Nutserts go, I am giving Black Magic Brakes, and I'll put a link of that in the description. I'm giving them a big thumbs up on this one. Thanks, Mr. Blaine. Okay, so I'm down to the transfer case mount bracket to skid plate bolts here. I gotta throw the nuts on. First, I'm gonna throw some anti-seize on. Especially good seeing as these bolts are already rusty. And I did not replace the transfer case mounting bracket, so I got a little anti-seize on the skid plate there. Oh well. Not trying to make a show vehicle, just trying to make a vehicle that'll last me. Now up to this point I've been putting a lot of the torque specs on the screen for the videos I've been making. This one I'm not going to because it varies widely based on your year and your transmission and transfer case and all that. So do that research for yourself. But I'm going to get mine set here quickly. Crank these down, and in the meantime I'll tell you about what I did wrong. I wish I'd have not been cheap. I wish I'd have just ordered the full set of 6 of the... Wow, the sun is blinding me. I wish I'd have just ordered the full set of 6 of the Nutserts, because the 3 that I didn't do, 2 of them seem to have started to strip. So I cranked them down best I could, and I'll probably be back doing this again. But for now, it's cranked up in there. It's solid enough. I'm comfortable with it for the time being. I'm going to get this all cranked down, and that'll probably be it for today. I'm going to keep working on body stuff, but I think that'll be a different video. So, thanks for watching, y'all. The Lord bless you and keep you. So I was just upstairs for breakfast and happened to walk by the bedroom, and Bailey looks like he was caught snuggling Mommy's pillow.